So I want to pick back up with my Works Cited page and continue working on it and try to get that finalized. So I was in the middle of creating my citation for my video from YouTube, and so I want to look at that again. I would have the title of the video, and then I would have YouTube in italics, the title in quotation marks, the YouTube in italics, and then the date, a comma, and then the date that it was created, and then a comma, and then the URL for that. So I want to come back over and look at that in my so I need to put in YouTube and then a comma, and then go back and look at that video and see what it says about that. All right, so it has 28 March 2016, and again, remember that in MLA we always do that in reverse, and we also have to have a period with March. So I mean, they're just several things that we need to be careful about and make sure that we do correctly. So, but the date that was published, 28 MAR period space 2016, and then a comma, and then the URL for that. So let me capture that. And I can do that by either just clicking here on the URL, or I can click on the share button and then copy that link and bring that over into my document and paste that in. Right click and paste that in. So there we are with that, and then I put a period at the end of that. I don't need an access date because it has a published date in it. So I need to put YouTube in italics, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to change the change some of this. I don't know that I need that whole thing. I'm going to use Open Your Eyes as the title, but right now that's in all caps, and that's inappropriate for MLA style. So I'm going to put my period in there for the end of my title. And again, I can go back in, as I showed you earlier, I can go back up here to my to change my case if I want to do that. And so I think I'll do that rather than having to retype the whole thing. Come in to change my case and have it just capitalize each word, and it has corrected that for me. So the title of the video in quotation marks with a period. The period always goes inside the quotation marks. Then the name of the container for that, and that was YouTube in italics, comma, the date in MLA format, comma, and then my URL. And that all fits on one line. So there we go. Now I'm ready if I were to add another source. Now I have 4 sources here, and so that's enough. Oh, I see when I clicked, I hit return, that changed it back into a URL. So I need to come back up, or to a hyperlink. I need to come back up and right click on it and remove that hyperlink. I also see that it, I see something wrong in this. So I'm looking to see what it is, since it has it doubles underlined like that. Something's wrong. I can right click on that, and I'm going to see what's wrong with that is that it has an extra space between the comma and the HTTPS. So I'm going to click to correct that, and there we go. It also has this underlined, and I'm not sure why. I could click on that. All right, it's correct as it is, so I don't need to do anything to that. But I see on my Works Cited page here that now one of these is not in alphabetical order. So G and M and J and O. So J is out of order, and I need to then select this whole thing, and then I'm going to cut it by Control X. I can also right click and cut it out, and that needs to go in here between G and M. And so I can create space, or I can just click at the beginning of this citation and do my paste. I want to merge my formatting to put it back in. It didn't. Let me see if I can do something instead there. if I paste it, yeah, I don't want to keep the text, so I'm going to keep the source formatting this time because I'd already done it correctly. I'd already put the formatting in that I wanted. So I'm going to choose that, and that keeps my indentation. So G, H-I-J, K-L-M-N-O. So those four are in alphabetical order. They all use the correct indentation, hanging indentation. My works cited page is formatted correctly. So the only other thing I might need to do on this, and if I were to copy this and paste it into my document as a final page when I'm done with my paper, then I wouldn't need to worry about this. But the only other thing I might want to do is to view, okay, nope, that's the wrong thing, to insert a header, and in that header, I know I've used it before, slice 1 is what I want. Slice 1 will give me a word and the page number, and so I would put in, as the student, as the writer, I would put in my last name. And you know, I may guess and say that this is going to be page 4 in my paper and create it that way. Then I could copy this whole thing and paste it in. Regardless, if I did this as a separate file, so if I have my paper as one file, saved as my paper, and then I want to save this as my works cited, what I want to do is make sure that this is the correct page number that would follow that. So it wouldn't be page 1, even though it's in a separate file. And so I would then save this. When I'm ready to submit it, I would resave it as a, and I can go ahead and do that actually now. I'm going to save it as, and create this. I'm going to put this on my desktop just so I can find it easily. Put it on my desktop on this computer. And I'm going to save it as a PDF because I know that I don't need to edit this again. It's correct, and so I'm going to save it, and then I'll be ready to upload that when I'm ready to use it. So it is completed, and I know that as I refer to this in my paper, I'm going to refer to this source using Godfrey, that according to Godfrey, or Godfrey says, or Linda Godfrey explains, or Linda Godfrey argues, Linda Godfrey cites an example of such and such. I'm going to use Godfrey or Linda Godfrey, never just Linda, because I don't know her personally, so I would call her Godfrey. But this, I'm going to either well, I'm going to have to refer to this by the article name in quotation marks, probably bury this in parentheses and put Jeff, parenthesis, quotation mark, Jeff, close parenthesis. Nope, let me back up. Parenthesis, quotation marks, Jeff, quotation marks, close parenthesis, period for the end of my sentence. And within the discussion of that, I would probably say in a blog discussion on with Plastic Pollution Coalition, Jeff Bridges comments that blah 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 blah, and then at the end of that sentence, I would have that parenthetical citation with Jeff in quotation marks, so that the reader knows that it's from a source on my works cited page that begins with quotation marks and the word Jeff. You can see examples of that in that MLA paper at the end of chapter 16, the textbook said, or you can see examples throughout chapter 24. I would refer to this in my paper with the word name McCormick. McCormick says such and such. McCormick argues such and such. Or Aaron McCormick argues such and such, and that's all you need to do to refer to that. You would not say it's from a Gale article, because Gale is not what this begins with. You have to use Godfrey and Jeff and McCormick and Open. And Jeff and Open have to be in quotation marks. So if you said a YouTube video explained such and such and such, at the end of that sentence you have to put parenthesis, quotation mark, open, close quotation, close parenthesis, period. Because that is the key word that refers your reader to your work cited. All of that is explained in more detail in chapter 24 if you need more help with that. So I hope you find that helpful.